Deputy Gonzalez was actually the first deputy on scene, so he can perhaps clarify some of the questions that you may have. Go ahead, Deputy.
Good afternoon. I'm Deputy Gonzalez. I'm assigned to Lomita Sheriff Station. I'm the handling Deputy Carlos Gonzalez. I was the first unit on scene, and I'm the handling deputy for this current traffic collision.
Deputy Gonzalez, could you speak to that question? There's an LA County fire captain who says that Tiger Woods was able to stand as they assisted him out of the vehicle. Is there any truth to the idea that he was able to stand?
Unfortunately, Mr. Woods was not able to stand under his own power. Our partners at LA County Fire were able to extricate him from the vehicle, and they put him onto a backboard. When I arrived on the scene, Mr. Woods was seated in the driver's seat. I made contact with him, and I ensured that he was able to speak to me. At that time, he seemed that as though he was still calm and lucid. I made the determination that it would be safer to wait for LA County Fire to help remove him instead of trying to remove him myself. I kept Mr. Woods calm until LA County Fire arrived on scene.
What did you do to keep him calm, Deputy?
I spoke to him. I asked.
Conversation. Can you share it with us, please?
I asked him what his name was. He told me his name was Tiger, and at that moment I immediately recognized him. I asked him if he knew where he was, what time of day, just to make sure he was oriented. He seemed as though he was lucid and calm.
Was he concerned about his injuries?
He didn't seem concerned of his injuries at the time, which is not uncommon in traffic collisions. Many times people tend to be in shock. It's a traumatic experience, so it's not uncommon for people to be focused on unimportant things, or even if they are in pain, they might not feel it until much later.
So was the incident caught on your body cam?
Yes, my body camera was used per department policy.
Deputy, in the photos of the airbags, there's blood. We're trying to figure out everything that we're seeing. Did you see any injuries on him anywhere other than the legs as you were just assessing him on site?
I did observe injuries. I can't speak as to the nature of the injuries. I'm not a trained medical professional, so I can't speak to that. What I can say is that he was injured, and he was successfully removed and taken to the hospital.
And you saw that he had a seatbelt on?
He was wearing a seatbelt.
Did he have lacerations as well as the leg injury?
If he did, I was not able to see them due to his clothing.
You've seen a lot of car accidents. Do you think this type of car saved his life, or do you think like a cheaper car wouldn't have had a good?
As mentioned by the sheriff, that specific stretch of roadway is one of our trouble spots. Our locals in Rancho Palos Verdes and Rolling Hills Estates know that it's a hot spot for traffic collisions as well as speed. In my experience as a deputy who is traffic trained and works a traffic car, I have seen many collisions. The nature of his vehicle, the fact that he was wearing a seatbelt, I would say that it greatly increased the likelihood that it saved his life.
Is this the worst accident you've seen on that stretch?
I will say no, because I've been doing this for a while and I've seen fatal traffic collisions. So I will say that it's very fortunate that Mr. Woods was able to come out of this alive.
Deputy Gonzalez, this is an accident-prone stretch, correct? We've seen a number of accidents on this specific stretch. Is that correct?
This stretch of roadway is downhill. It's sweeping. Speeds there. The speed limit is 45 miles per hour. Myself, when I'm doing speed enforcement, I will sometimes catch people going 80 plus miles per hour. So it's more of a thing that this, people see a nice stretch of road and maybe they're not watching their speedometer, or maybe they're in a hurry.
During your conversations with Tiger, were you ever concerned in the time that you spent with him that of his pain threshold, or that he was going to lose consciousness at all?
At the moment that I spoke to Mr. Woods, I was able to determine that it would have been safer for me to wait for LA County Fire because his condition seemed stable, and I did not want to risk further injuring him by trying to remove him myself.
There was something floating around about like a bystander who went and called X-rated.
So the neighbor that lives behind heard the collision and came down and was the one that directed me to the vehicle. As was indicated by the sheriff, there was another unrelated traffic collision that occurred several feet down the roadway, which I believe was due to people trying to look. And that also kind of distracted from what was occurring, because he was several feet off the roadway, so I think most of the attention that people were focused on was on the roadway.
One more question. Deputy, can you describe what the scene looked like inside the car? Did he have enough space to move around, wiggle around? How did the passenger side look, and how did the back?
As indicated by the sheriff, the interior passenger compartment of the vehicle was intact. The airbags did deploy successfully. Again, he was wearing his seatbelt. I think this also kind of speaks to the marvel of modern automobiles in that they're much safer than they've ever been previously.
Deputy, any idea how many times the vehicle flipped?
Well, we don't know that at this time. Sí.
¿Tiene preguntas en español?
Sí, ¿cuál es la pregunta? Sí, cuando llegué, me fijé dentro del vehículo.
All right, so some of the good news out of this news conference from LA County Sheriff's officials. This is the gentleman who actually was first on scene and made contact with Tiger Woods soon after he crashed in Rancho Palos Verdes about 7:15 this morning. He says he was conscious. He says, though, he was not able to stand on his own, Alex, due to those leg injuries.
Yeah, and he talked about the fact, something that we both know having driven around this area, that is a area that is difficult to drive in. It's an area that people often speed. It's hilly, it's windy, and that there are often crashes in that area because of it. People, he said, often drive more than 80 miles an hour there, and there's some indication that Tiger Woods may have been speeding, which is what led to this. No indication that drugs or alcohol was involved in this crash.
Yeah, they say no evidence of impairment, so that is more good news. The speed limit, according to a councilwoman who gave a statement about the road itself, Hawthorne Boulevard is the one that we're speaking of, that leads to Rolling Hills Country Club, is 45 miles per hour. But she did note that it's one of those areas that unless you're physically braking, you can pick up speed.
Yeah. So let's listen in.
Es una zona que es muy común ver carros que van en exceso de velocidad.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for coming. This concludes our press
So
conference.
that's the end of our press conference there, and we are continuing.